Showtime. Are you from one of those places? Where you from?
No, well, we grew up overseas. My dad was in the army, but I live in
our video on. Hello, welcome everyone. Hello, Dr. Tati is joining us virtually. We have a lot of people on our Zoom, and we also have a few people on Facebook. So I just wanted to welcome everyone. I'm kind of sitting in the back because I want you guys to see our beautiful ladies here today.
Hello. Great reading.
Yeah, they're waving. So we are here today for our Mind Health Shop Talk, our partnership with Kaiser Permanente and Black Mental Health Alliance. It is the mental health component of their good health and great hair. After all this time, still getting that confused. But in a little bit, we'll get started. Just a few things. We want to make sure that you know the Mind Health Shop Talk sessions are now back in person. So please come out now. The space is limited, but it is still in Lynn is laughing at me. Space is limited because you know the shops are small, but that just allows us to have really more intimate, deep conversations. So just a note, this is going to be some triggering topics that we're talking about tonight. I'll be adding some resources in case you want to connect with anyone. We're gonna drop that in the chat. So if anything makes you feel uncomfortable or you want to discuss more, please make sure you use that as a resource. And so I want to very grandiosely, because we have Ms. Grandiosity in the building, introduce Dr. Tati Warren from Kaiser Permanente Mid-Atlantic to just do a little welcome and explain some of the programs that they have coming up in this fall. Welcome, Dr. Tati.
Happy Tuesday and welcome again to Mind Health Shop Talk. Thank you so much, Roxana. I apologize for not being in the space. I was looking forward to this conversation. And, you know, before we even get started, or before I even get started with remarks, I really want to give a special thanks and shout out to Ms. Janelle Hope. She's the owner and operator of Vanity the Salon. Janelle, we thank you for opening up your doors. We thank you for inviting us inside this evening for today's conversation. Vanity the Salon is located at 1052 West Baltimore Street in Baltimore, Maryland, 21223. Again, I'm Dr. Tatiana Warren, and I serve as Kaiser Permanente's program evaluation consultant. For the 6th year in a row, Kaiser Permanente of the Mid-Atlantic has been partnering with now 6 Baltimore City barbershops and beauty salons to offer flu immunizations, COVID-19 vaccinations, a wide range of health and wellness services to both local residents at no cost, regardless of whether they have insurance or if they're a Kaiser Permanente member. As a part of Good Health and Great Hair, I can tell you that we are committed to helping make Baltimore one of the healthiest cities in the nation. We know that good health and great hair go together. And as such, barbershops and salons have long served as gathering places in communities of color. And through a unique partnership, we've been able to provide our exceptional healthcare in safe and trusted spaces within the community where individuals live, where they work, where they play, and even where they pray. Good Health and Great Hair Outreach Initiative aims to bring critical health and social support services to Baltimore City communities. Hence our partnership, longstanding partnership with Black Mental Health Alliance, and creating these Mind Health Talk shops. That's a mouthful, right? At Kaiser Permanente, we believe in total health, addressing the physical, the social health needs, but also the mental health. That's why we're having today's conversation, right? Our community needs this. Our total health approach is the cornerstone, and it's an integrate part of the care delivery that Kaiser Permanente hopes to offer the community through this barbershop and salon outreach program. In fact, this Saturday at Janelle's shop at Vanity the Salon, we'll put all the information in the chat. We are hosting a pop-up clinic. So you'll be able to come on site, get on them. There she goes. There goes Janelle. You'll
She's
be
like, she
able to
got it.
come on site at Vanity the Salon, hop on the mobile health van clinic, and we'll have a host of services. If you need your flu vaccinations, we'll have that for you. Maybe you haven't had your cholesterol or your blood sugar checked in a while. We'll have that for you. Maybe you need your blood pressure or your body mass index, right? All of those calculations, all of those wellness screenings will be provided for you at no cost. In fact, we also have a special treat, and Janelle has been working diligently on this special treat, and that is having the produce market on site. So every person who participates in the clinical services, they will have an opportunity to get free, at no cost, fresh produce, fresh vegetables and fruit from the local farmers there. But I'm going to pause there because, again, on behalf of Kaiser Permanente and Black Mental Health Alliance, we thank you so much. We thank you, Janelle, for opening up your space, not only to us, but also to the community to have this riveting conversation. I am excited and I cannot wait to hear from Ms. Grandiosity herself. She's in the building, yes, and I know she's been traveling a lot. So we thank her and we honor her for today's conversation. And I turn it back over to you, Roxana and Andrea. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to give the baton now to Andrea. She's going to do a little welcome for us and talk a little bit about what Black mental health has been working on as well.
So thank you so much. I am so excited. You're missing it here, Dr. Tati, but never mind. Again, just want to thank you again to our partners, Kaiser Permanente, for our ability to be able to do this work in barbershops and salons throughout Baltimore. And so we're pleased to work with Kaiser, and we have been good health and great hair. The barbershop and beauty salon outreach initiative, again, and Dr. Tati mentioned, brings physical health, mental health, social health services to West Baltimore community. But the Black Mental Health Alliance has been around almost 40 years. And we've got mad bragging rights because we are not new to the community. We are boots on the ground as it relates to mental health and wellness. And so I'm excited about being back in barbershops and salons. This is such an opportunity. And what I will say, I guess, as we think about it, we didn't even stop when the pandemic hit. We started online, so we did Zoom, and folks showed up and showed out. And what made it even more interesting, we had people across the country signing up for workshops and these sessions so that they could really get a real handle on mental health and wellness in Black and Brown communities. So I welcome you. I thank you for joining us today. And I thank you for what we will be doing as we go into our 40th celebration next year. So you should be on the lookout. This is, again, a huge component of what we do, but educating Black and Brown communities on the importance of mental health and mental wellness is what we really do. So again, thank you for the welcome. Thank you for joining us. I think that unless I'm told otherwise, I am going to go right into introductions because what I don't want to do is I don't want to waste time on rhetoric. This is such an important conversation today. I don't want to miss it. So I'm not even going to read all of her bio. She'll tell you about, you heard Dr. Tati say Miss Grandiosity herself. And so she'll tell you a little bit about that. But you, just so you know, I've got Goo Gobs and notes in my hand, and you should be glad because it is going to be rich tonight. And I don't want to miss some critical points that we are about to do. So let me stop and say all of that. So Susan Smallwood was born in Seoul, Korea. Her father was in the army, and so she grew up overseas in Belgium and Germany. And we won't ask her to speak any of her several languages, and so again, grew up across the country. And so we're excited about that. Her father served in the United States Army. She joined the Army herself at the age of 17. And so we cannot wait to talk about that. And she's got an interesting history. She is the CEO and owner of Grandiosity events. What you don't know is the sister also has caviar. Yes, caviar. So Le Grand, that's what caviar. And so rather than go on and on and on, I want to introduce you and say thank you for joining us. Susan actually hails now out of Florida. And so she is joining us in the heart of Baltimore. And so we thank you for that. She is not a stranger to Baltimore, but she's also not a stranger to her people. And so super thankful that you are joining us today. And so, oh, it looks like I'm gonna be Mike. Okay, so hold on a second while I get Mike.
Or just put it in your glove. It should be fine.
So I'm putting it somewhere. Close. I'm putting it close. So I do wanna, again, we've given Janelle a shout out. I wanna thank her. I wanna thank folks who are joining us via Zoom and those who are in the shop with us. And some of you may know that I won't give him, I'll ask him to just wave, but Troy, who's done work with the Black Mental Health Alliance, who has a barbershop and has done amazing work, is here with us today and in here. So you just want to wave, maybe they'll see you. But really want to thank you for joining us, because again, and for other folk who have joined us, not just online, but who are in the shop with us today. And so thank you, because you could be a number of other places, but we appreciate that you are here with us. So Susan, yay. And you may mention it later about the polo event, but I really want to talk to you today. You know, we just came off of Suicide Prevention Month. We are World Mental Health Day. So there are a number of things happening in this month, and I want to be able to talk a little bit about that, but talk to us in snippets about your journey, your mental health journey, and how we're even in this space right now.
So where do I start? Do I start all the way back, or I start from the present?
I think you start where you feel led to start.
Okay, so in October 2020, I was accurately diagnosed with PTSD. And after that diagnosis, it was like a sigh of relief. So you have to understand, 2020, that was only 2 years ago, this month actually. And to feel, I mean, to have that, not to say that the diagnosis is anything someone would be proud of, but to finally get that correct assessment. Because prior to that, I was misdiagnosed. I was diagnosed with bipolar. I was diagnosed with ADHD. I might be ADHD because I'm very hyper. And just some other things. I was diagnosed with dysthymia at one time. And that may have been true at the time, because that's high functioning. When you're depressed and you're high functioning, we discussed that a little earlier. So I believe that may have been true at the time. That was pretty much, I think, the diagnosis. But the thing is, when you're diagnosed with something, when a doctor tells you something, you tend to believe what they say. So when you believe what they say, you become what they tell you. And that's where there's a fault in that, because then when people call you crazy, then you kind of believe you're crazy because of your diagnosis. So I shifted my whole mindset to, instead of saying I battled with mental health, I now manage through mental health, because words are powerful. And when you change your thought process and you change your mindset, you become who you believe you are. Does that make sense, y'all?
It does,
Yes.
it makes sense.
Yes.
And so I appreciate you saying that. And I think a couple of things. Oftentimes, you said accurately diagnosed, but you said in 2020. So that is not long ago. And so I guess what's concerning to me is you just had a birthday not too long ago. And while we won't reveal your age, I guess my thought was, oh, she's double nickel, 55. So, but if you think that if you just got an accurate diagnosis, talk to me about how you were living before.
Oh, woo! Like I said, I was battling. I kept the battle, and then to be all crazy, and then thinking something's wrong with you. And when you think something's wrong with you, you become that what you think. So if I had been accurately diagnosed many years ago, I would be in a different position, different space. And having I forget what I was gonna say, what was the answer question? What was that?
Correct diagnosis?
Yes. So I wish I had gotten therapy is what I want to say. Thank you for reminding me.
You are.
Therapy, because I hid for many years what was going on inside of me, because I hid behind material possessions. And there's a lot of people that are doing that. We hide behind material possessions. We hide behind our titles. We hide behind wealth or whatever it is. We hide behind it. So I hid behind my material possessions because I didn't want to deal with what was going on internally. So I dealt with it externally, if that makes sense.
That makes lots of sense. So let's take me back a little bit. So, and we'll get to that. So I'd love to talk about your time in the Army. And talk to me about what that looked like. Because at 17, I can't even imagine, right? So something was wrong then. I can't even imagine how you managed through that. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So I have to go back first to lead up to there, so it makes
So
so y'all can follow the journey. So yeah, growing up, I was born in Korea, grew up in Germany and Belgium. My father was in the military. He was a raging alcoholic. He was very abusive to myself and to my mother. And as a result of the abuse from Germany, my dad was stationed at the Presidio Army Base in San Francisco. And I was 15 years old. My dad had beat me. And so I had OD'd on some aspirin. I wasn't trying to die, but I just like leave me alone. So I ended up in the hospital. And at the time, the physician saw all the bruises on me, and they took me out of my home and they put me in foster home. So when I was in the foster home in San Francisco, they had to find a family for me, which is located here in Maryland. That's how I ended up here in Maryland. So I finished my last 2 years of high school here. I was 17 years old, and I went into the Army. So that's where we coming up to the military. I went in at 17 because I wanted to get away from everybody.
So let's go back though. So first of all, and I think Roxana mentioned this, I think it's important to note to all of you that some of this content may be triggering. And so I implore you to look at the resources on the screen, talk to a friend, step away. We thank you, we want you here, but we also want you safe. And so thank you for sharing that. Can we talk a little bit about that? About your experience? That wasn't your first beating, obviously.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about that journey with him fighting your mom and fighting you.
So I mean, my dad obviously had issues. So not only was I physically abused, I was mentally abused, I was emotionally abused, I was sexually abused by my father. And because I had suppressive memories for many, many years, it did not come out until I was in the Army. I was 18 years old stationed in Krausheim, Germany. And my roommate said, "Susan, you cry every night." And I said, "Why am I crying?" And that somehow the memory came back that my father had sexually violated me. So then I kept going back to the past. I kept going out trying to retrieve information. And I'm just, like I said, I don't have a definite age, but I think I was about 8 years old when I was sexually violated by my father. So it came back after all these years of being suppressed. So then when that did come back, then I was dealing with military sexual trauma in the Army. So it's compounded trauma, childhood trauma, military sexual trauma. So that's how.
So you talk about military sexual trauma, and I know that the whole Me Too movement and a number of other things where people don't often believe us, and so we deal with that. So I'd love to know, as you are in the military, did you stay your entire 4 years? What was that like?
No, I did not stay the entire 4 years because I was so tired of being sexually harassed and sexually violated in the military that I made myself get in trouble so they would put me out the Army. And at that time, we told on the male superiors, we were chastised. And so, so I was taken out of my, where I worked and my main job and moved to another division. And while I was waiting to be released, they had covered up incidents. They also took out the records. So fast forward, I've been fighting for years and years to prove myself, and I kept getting denied because they basically, you're not telling the truth, you're not telling the truth. I finally won.
Awesome.
I finally won. It took a law firm to find corroborating evidence that yes, I was dealing with military sexual trauma.
Wow. Wow. So first of all, can we talk a little bit about, we have a partner who often talks about, and I'm gonna just jump around a little bit because I think it's important as I listen to you talk, right? He talks about finding, some people say safe spaces, but he talks about finding brave spaces. And I'd love for you to talk about what that looked like for you. And are you now? And again, we'll move around. Are you now in a safe, brave space? Because what I notice is you have your voice. And so we don't often have that. And we'll talk about how you got it. But can you talk to me about these pockets of safe and or brave spaces that you found?
Yes, so then I would have to jump to federal prison. So
Well, let's talk about federal prison.
So it was a certain time in federal prison. I was indicted and convicted in 2012 for conspiracy to distribute cocaine, and ended up serving time at federal prison camp Alderson, West Virginia, AKA Camp Cupcake.
Is that Martha Stewart?
That's where Martha Stewart
Camp
served her
Cupcake.
time.
Okay.
So I was in an RDAP program. For those that understand that lingo, is the residential drug and some I forgot what it means, because I had gotten a DUI. So I was eligible for the RDAP program. And I learned a lot about myself. So even though that was not the best place to be, but that was probably the first time I really started getting some type of counseling and information and education. But more importantly, I went deep into myself. I would go into the library and I started getting books on metaphysics. So my journey is different. I'm not religious. I believe in God is the universe. I just started studying about the metaphysical journey of spirituality. And so my safe space is words of affirmations. Words are very powerful. I have my crystal energy water bottle somewhere around here. There's some powerful words on there. Yes, it's in my phone. I wake up every morning and I read all my affirmations. I have crystals. This is a very powerful crystal that I wear. So I have crystals. I sleep with crystals. I have crystals in my car. I have crystals everywhere. So that's my safe space because that's my belief system. And I meditate to 528 hertz and higher binaural beats, as well as I go to the beach and I'm one with nature. And I visualize and emotionalize what I want my day to look like, what I want my week to look like, and what I want my future to look like. So that's how I get up every day and I'm living life grand because I manifested it.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think, I'm sorry. Looks like there's a question.
No. So real quick, we have Michelle. She had Dr. Tati wanted me to make sure that I told you what Michelle had said. That I so appreciate you all making this space trauma informed by saying several times the content is a convo that can be triggering for some, and you're taking care of us by saying basically that it's a triggering topic and putting the resources.
No, thank you so
And then
much.
somebody from Facebook had said, thank you for being brave to share your story.
Thank you for
And it's
listening.
interesting, what you think is just, you're telling your story really is healing for somebody.
Right.
Here, could you read for us and we'll come back to that.
Yeah, so this is my product. This is my crystal energy water bottle.
And I guess you
And
could tell us
again,
like what you do.
So the words on here, again, powerful words. And the crystals, which are these? These are citrines. Citrine is for wealth and harmony, money, attracting money. So the paints.
Do we get those when we get the, okay.
Yes, I think only.
Look, so Andrea's happy now because she knows she's gonna get it.
Money's coming your way. The pink stones are love and harmony. So I mix my crystals and you put it at the bottom of this reservoir here. So let's just pretend we have pink and rose quartz crystals. So you can put them all in there. I'm just gonna put a few in here for the demonstration. I only drink alkaline water because alkaline water gets down to your cellular level. So I also put the crystals in this infuser. So this opens up. You can put fruit, tea, or the crystals. So when you put the crystals in there, because it makes them more powerful, the water, you pour the water over it. And while you're pouring the water over, you're saying and visualizing, emotionalizing, again, your future, what you want your life to look like, while incorporating these positive words, you're putting it on the universe. And then when you're drinking, the same thing, you're speaking it. Even when I drink from this bottled water, I do the same thing. I literally say positive words of affirmation because then you're putting it inside your system. And then you attract the people, places, and things on the frequency you're vibrating at. So that is my journey on how I make magic happen, living life grand every day. Everyone has a different journey. This is just my personal journey. And
So I think it's because one of the questions, and we may get to it later, is, we talk about self-care, right? Why is that important? This is self-care.
Yes.
And so really, again, appreciate that. So that plug was important because it is how you get to this space, how you get to use your voice. So thank you for that. So we talked a little bit about what mental wellness is for you. And we talked about illness and mental wellness and illness and why it's important. I love to talk about the stigma around mental health and mental wellness. You said something earlier. You said, people said I was crazy and blah, blah, blah. And some of why, what we've seen and data shows that some of why, especially communities of color, we don't see a therapist, we don't talk about how we're feeling because of the very thing, the stigma associated with it. People are gonna think I'm crazy. So I'd love for you to talk about, how have you come to terms with, you called me crazy once, I'm not crazy now. Talk a little bit about that.
well, I'm crazy about what I do. I'm crazy about my business. I'm crazy about my events company, and I'm crazy about living life grand every day. So I transmuted the negative to positive. So that's, again, it's a mindset. So our mind is the most powerful weapon we have. What we believe becomes true for us. So again, that's why it's very important to, number one, get therapy to be accurately diagnosed. Because if you are misdiagnosed, and you believe that diagnosis, you become that what they tell you. So even when people do tell you whatever their thought is, because it's their opinion, you have the power to change that. You have the power to become and believe who you want to become by loving yourself and believing in yourself, because love is the most powerful force in this universe.
So, it's important for people to be aware of what's healthy for them. And you talked a little bit about your time that's not the Alderson, we can't come.
Yes.
And so I was gonna ask you the question is, when did you become aware? But you said you shared some of that. But I wanna go, I talked a little bit about mental illness, mental health awareness day and week was October 2nd to the 8th. And I just wanna share for our viewers, in case you don't know what that is, Mental Illness Awareness Week was established to educate and increase awareness about mental illness. Nearly 50 million American adults, that's American adults, we're not even talking about children, live with a mental health condition. And more than half do not receive treatment. And so, and obviously it's a little different than mental health awareness, but I think it's important to say those numbers because there's more in common than we are separate, right? It divides us. And so I think it's important. And so we talked a little bit about safe spaces and all of that to remove the stigma. But one of the things that you share, and I want to, that is your quote, and you say, and I'm probably not going to do it any justice, but I'll do it as grand as I can. I'm sharing my private journey on a public platform to help heal others so I can heal myself. It's not a dirty word. Don't suffer in silence. Seek help. I did. Quote, that's your quote. Go talk to us about all of that. So you come out of prison, right? So you got this sentence on you. So talk to us about, I leave there, now what?
Well, again, I just had to transform my mindset. Again, first I went in deep inside and did an introspective look into myself. Why am I going through this? What is this lesson that the universe is teaching me, that God is teaching me? What can I do differently? How do I become the greatest version of myself and not repeat the same mistakes? So that's pretty much what I told myself, and I literally transformed my mindset because our mind is very powerful. It's so powerful. And every day I wake up and I was like, something grand is gonna happen. You know, magic and miracles are happening. I tell myself that, you know, and I was telling myself that when I was going through an abusive relationship. But that's how I survived. I survived through that. But because I just kept staying positive regardless of what the situation was. Because eventually you're going to come out of that situation. Eventually, God is going to bless you and take you out of that situation and catapult you to a different level and remove you from the situation. So it's just about staying in faith and learning the lesson on the journey of why you're going through what you're going through.
Appreciate that. And so, you know, a couple of things. I want to make sure, I want to be sensitive because I know we often get questions in the chat. And so is there anything we need to pause for?
Cynthia had said those statistics prove that if a person is affected by a mental health issue, they are not alone. We must give people a safe space to land.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anything else? I want to be sensitive to where we are. And it's okay. We've got plenty to talk about.
No.
Remember, she's 55, so we got to So again, I want to remind people that especially this next topic that we're going to talk about as we start to shift our conversation may be triggering. Please use the resources available to you in the chat. Please make sure that you either remove yourself, talk to someone. There is a community to support you. And so again, we want you here, but we want you healthy. So, you know, there's, you know, love my dog month, love my cat month. It's always something. But there's also National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And sometimes we don't know about some of that. And so October is that as well. And it's interesting how that connects to mental health on so many levels. So I love for you to talk about, you said earlier, you were going through an abusive relationship. And I'm not even talking about the one with your father. I'm talking about, so talk to us a little bit about that. Share that. And how that can show up in the smallest ways. And sometimes we don't even realize we're in those places.
Well, so as soon as I got home from prison, I was in the halfway house and I met somebody in the halfway house 2 weeks after being released and engage in a relationship. The first thing that they tell you when you leave prison is not to get in a relationship. The first thing that people do is get in a relationship. So we should have listened to them in prison. They say, get a dog, get a cat, or get a plant, but don't get in a relationship. But because when you're in and you don't have that companionship, that's the first thing you go seek. And so I saw the signs early on of this abusive relationship, but I stayed for 3.5 years. So I had to question myself, why did I stay for 3.5 years? Number one, I thought I could change this person because he came home from prison. Number two, I said, well, apparently there's some lack of love of myself that I will allow someone to abuse me this long. So I recognized that. And then I finally had the courage to walk away, again, 3.5 years later, never looked back. And I went on a journey to, again, another self-discovery journey. We're always learning on this journey. We should be. You never stop learning. You never stop learning about yourself, for sure. And so went into another deep mode of, okay, well, Susan, what was that about? Because again, the lessons, you got to learn the lessons. If you do not learn the lessons, you will repeat the mistakes again. So I had to learn what it was about that relationship that I will never allow myself to be in another relationship like that. So thank God I haven't been, and I learned from that lesson. So did I answer the question? I don't know what
No,
Yeah,
you
you did.
did answer the question, but you said something a little bit earlier that I want to, I think it's important to, I'd like you to talk about. You said, you know, we get into, you said it much more grand than I will, but you said something to the effect of, you know, we get accustomed to things. And so we don't heal from that, because maybe it's you're buying me something, or maybe, and whatever that looks like. And I'd love to figure out, it's interesting. I'd love to figure, if you could just talk a little bit about, not even how you got there, but how you knew that was a whole.
The material things?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah. So, gosh. Living in Germany, you're around culture of castles. There's a lot of grandeur, beautiful the history. So then I came stateside, and then I met men. I'll be honest, they were
Men.
I was young and dumb, and so I was introduced to kingpins. Is that you know,
Listen,
we talk about that?
No, I want you.
No,
to
I
talk
think
about
because it helps us all learn too. 'Cause
So-
I think we don't talk about stuff.
That's
So-
right.
Yeah,
so
yeah, and
I-
then, you know, it's gonna
So
help.
they
someone.
hooked me, and I got hooked. And you get addicted to the lifestyle. Addiction is not just alcohol and drugs.
Oh my
Addiction
God.
is lifestyle.
Thank you so much.
So I got addicted to the lifestyle, the fancy cars, jewelry, the furs, you name it, the money. I got addicted to it. So then I became a monster. Went from one relationship, kingpin, to the second one. So I was a kept woman. But in being kept, that's control. And in being controlled, there comes some form of abuse. So the abuse was happening is just so subtle, because you're getting gifts. You're getting the diamonds, the furs, whatever. So you don't even really think about it, because you're looking good on the outside, but you're not feeling good about yourself on the inside. So that was that journey for years, and it's hard to break away from that addiction. So that's
Dr.
what
Tati said that's subtle abuse too.
Subtle
I just said
abuse.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is. It really is.
but you were on a roll. You were about to say it's hard to break away from that.
It is, because even now to this day, I still love lifestyle,
Yeah.
but I'm not addicted to it. There's a
Right.
difference. Before, I had to go get the finest fab outfit,
Yeah.
shoe, or whatever, handbag, or whatever it was. Now my thing is going to the most beautiful beach. So that's the lifestyle. The addiction is there, but it's different now. But I purposely changed my mindset, because it's not about the materialistic things. Yes, I do still like nice things, but I'm not addicted to it. It's not a priority, because that's not what makes you happy, because it's fleeting. Those materialistic things are fleeting. You get it one day, you're happy for a week, and the next thing, then you're back into, why do you feel this way? So that's where I am now, with thanking the universe for delivering me from that. And my Live Life Grand every day is a mindset that you create and you attract to the people, places, and things. It's not about material things. So I just want to make that clear. So I hope that
No, I think,
understand that.
absolutely. I think we do. I think, any questions about that, Roxanne?
You have a few questions, but because they're not coinciding with what you're talking about, I think we should just wait for the
Okay,
question.
all right, perfect. So I do want to, you said something a little earlier about you were probably in high functioning depression. I want to go back to that because, I want to talk about this sort of silent thing that creeps up on us, right? That is now just coming to the forefront. Now is the sexy term about high functioning depression. And specifically, Miss USA 2019, Chesley Chris, she's a beauty queen, a lawyer, absolute triple threat, right? Who killed herself. And her mother, April, is speaking out about it. She's talking about the death of her daughter. She's issuing statements, and she talks about she's never known a pain this deep. And she talks about being forever changed. But I'd love for you to talk about the space then that you was probably high functioning depression that you didn't even, I didn't even know, right? So can we talk about that then and what that looks like and if it's showing up now that you think for you?
Good question. So, and
That was a good question.
So I had purchased my house in 2010 during the double blizzard. Do y'all remember the double blizzard?
Yes.
Yes, and so it was a 7,800 square foot home, 3.02 acres. And, I was like, I accomplished this, no cosigner, jumbo loan, I'm on top of the world. But after a couple of months, I'm like, why do I feel sad again? And I said, and then I didn't even hardly stay in my house. I'm over here, traveling over there, over here, I'm all over the place. And I still did not feel fulfilled, even with that sense of accomplishment. And then I noticed I kept breaking down. I kept having these emotional breakdowns. I was crying. And I said I cried at rivers. I understand that term because I was crying at rivers. I said, why am I crying so much? But again, not seeking help or therapy, just figured it was because I was in my 40s. I thought I was in a midlife crisis or something. And then, so I was presented the opportunity. I wasn't happy at the time, and I was making very good money, living in a big home. Like I said, have all the material things. But I was like the saddest person. I was very, very, very unhappy on the inside. So, and that was when the opportunity, and when you're unhappy, you become vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you do things that you might not otherwise do had you been in the right mindset.
Right.
So I was vulnerable at the time. I was presented the opportunity to make a lot of money with the cocaine. And that's how I ended up in prison. Did I answer the question? I feel like I missed something.
No, I don't. I think, listen, you are answering it, but you're also sharing. So no, you did not miss it. You did not miss it, but it feels like you want to add. And
There was
I'm okay
something
with
that I want to say to that.
Okay.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
So let's talk a little bit. I just, for those of you who don't know, this is the definition of high functioning depression. What does it mean?
Sorry, y'all was changing me. So what happened was, so when I entered into the deal, and the feds, of course, I got indicted. The judge had me court ordered to go see a psychiatrist. This is where the answer comes.
This is good.
Then that's when I was diagnosed with dysthymia, and I didn't know what the word meant, high functioning depression.
Oh, wow.
So that's the answer right there.
And I know we were going to come but so that begins to some degree your journey of therapy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when they made me go to therapy. Before I went to prison, and then while I was in prison, I was in therapy. And then since the first pass I started therapy. I'm still in therapy. Thank the Lord.
Beautiful. Wait a minute. Did you hear what she said? The first pass you got. And so what I can appreciate is that you found that to be a priority.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay to be in therapy. It is not a dirty word.
No, it's not.
So since one of the things that she talked about, I just want us to hear what the definition of high functioning depression is. And it's a non-medical term used to describe people who suffer from clinical depression but are productive. They may be public figures or not. It may or may not be formally diagnosed. People with high functioning depression are women, men, and youth who have various roles and positions, such as educators, lawyers, mechanics, healthcare providers, financial experts, janitors, entrepreneurs, students, etc. Essentially, it can be more difficult to spot as the person is viewed as normal, right? In their daily functioning. We just do it, they just do it, it's done at a high level. But any level of depression can still have a major impact on someone's life and shouldn't be overlooked just because it's considered less severe. And there was an article probably about maybe 2 months ago that talked about women in these who are high functioning but depressed. And, how do we help them move from that place? And, folks talked about, obviously various forms of therapy. They talk about healing circles, those kinds of things. And so I think I'm glad you raised it because oftentimes that we find ourselves living and walking and moving and breathing and being depressed. Roxana, any thoughts? Anybody chimed in? Anything they want us to answer or ask?
Yes, you are right on time.
Yes,
So,
right on time.
Cynthia said, I've been talking about mental health since 2016. I'm glad it's becoming more of a conversation. There's still so much work to be done regarding eliminating stigma. And then she also said, hold on, think of all those voices that are muted because many are too ashamed to talk about mental illness, and think about how many suffer in silence. The other culture has pretty much always embraced therapy. We looked at them with quotation marks with the side eye. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they are getting the help they needed and we weren't. Wow. And Richard Rowe talks about that. Like we never went through the process of healing
Post-slavery?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what is the book that we were reading? But we never really went through the process of healing. So we're still in that traumatic response.
Absolutely not. As people, no. It's called it's the one by Joy DeGruy.
Yeah. What is it, Dom? Post-traumatic
Stress syndrome? You mean PTSD?
No, it's a book, but we'll find it before. But it talks about why we behave the way we do, why we've not, because we've not healed, and we're not, what that's funny about this whole notion around post-slavery. So can we talk a little bit about? So first of all, thank you. Thank you for talking about the trauma around the lifestyle, right? Because there is trauma with that. You went to jail. I'm sorry, she went to prison. My bad. But and there's a part of your life that you won't get back, but there's also a part that really helped sort of jumpstart your journey to healing. And so for that, we are thankful. Can we talk about some there's a question? Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yeah,
Is the name of the book.
Yeah.
Post-traumatic slave syndrome. And we read it, and it's a heavy read. But again, because it makes us go back. This is why we do what we do. I want to talk a little bit about the stigma. And then there's an exercise at some point I'd like us to be able to close with. I know that Roxana has may have some questions and some other things, but I like to talk about this, you talk some about stigma, but can we talk a little bit more about even today, right? Even today, you've got your affirmations, you've got self-care, pretty much in a good state. Can we talk a little bit about, I want to talk about two things. One, about how you still deal with the stigma, right? Because even sharing now you really do become an open book, right? What does that look like, and how do you stay healthy in that space?
I don't know, because I shared on my journey on social media about the mental health piece, but I had not gone in depth until today. So today it's like dredging up memories. And if a person doesn't accept me for who I am, then I don't give a damn. That's just where I am at. I have my confidence and the love for myself and the belief in myself. It's at the point where if you're not for me, then I'm fine with that. If you are for me, then let's make magic happen. So that's my mentality right now.
So I love the whole let's make magic happen. Can we talk a little bit about that?
So, and again, so when you are vibrating on a high frequency, and I'm talking in spiritual terms, you attract the people, places, and things on that frequency. So we understand each other. We're on the same wavelength, the same frequency, and so there's no judgment. It's people that's vibrating on this level that are the ones that are judging others. But they need to work on their damn selves so they can vibrate on a higher level.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is. The low frequency people are the vampire, what do they call them? Vampire,
She said,
Suck
low,
your
low
energy.
frequency.
yeah, vampire suckers. The low frequency people, get away from us.
Roxanne, anybody weighing in?
There's people laughing in the chat. It's so funny. Nicole said, thank you for being so open about your experience.
Thank you.
So before we ask you to do an activity, I'd like to talk to you. You talked a little bit, we know what your self-care looks like. We've heard you talked about the, your water, your crystals. You talked a little bit about, your journey with nature. I'd love for you to talk about, and if it's not a part of what you do, but I'd love for you to talk about its importance in your life, and that is music.
Oh, yes.
Journaling.
Yeah, I journal. I skip stage, y'all, but I do journal.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it sounds like you skipped today, but journaling is critical to what you do.
Yeah, it is. Because when you write, pen to paper is a contract to yourself. So when you write the words I am, everything you say after I am becomes true for you. You put it in the subconscious, it's your subconscious that you're putting out into the universe. I am loving, I am wealthy, I am beautiful, I am wonderful. Anything you say after I am becomes true for you once you believe it.
Pen to
Paper
paper
is a contract to yourself.
Pen to paper is a contract to yourself. So let's talk. I absolutely love that. We're voracious readers at BMHA, even when we don't want to be. And I am a huge journaler, period. I mean, I'm always taking notes. We recently, as a professional development activity, went to see The Woman King. And you can't just hear about it.
I know, they said I gotta go watch it. They sent me that too.
And everybody's process for healing but I kid you not, I took goo gobs and notes. And I did that because I know that as a team of women and as a team period, it's gonna be important as we figure out what our next looks like. So talk a little bit about, you talked about writing, you talked about music. Can we talk a little bit about exercise and eating?
Oh yeah, the diet is very important. So about a year and a half ago, I went on another spiritual journey. You can go on as many spiritual journeys in your lifetime as you like. So I went on another spiritual journey. And you manifest in a magical way when you sacrifice. So I sacrifice meat, beef, pork, and chicken. Honey, I love me.
Somebody grab their chest over there, just so you know, sacrifice meat.
I sure did. And so I became a pescatarian. I was trying to do vegan, but that only lasted like 48 hours. And when I tell you, when you cleanse your system and you gotta sacrifice to God, the universe, and you sacrifice, that's showing that you are serious about your journey, about your healing, about how you want to transform your life and your mindset. When I tell you my body transformed as a result of just eliminating meat. Of course, I told you I only drink alkaline water, and because it gets down to your cellular level. And I don't really exercise, y'all. So don't judge me on that. I need to start exercising.
That's not our story.
But just eliminating the meat, I dropped 20 pounds. Is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So that was what helped me. Now everybody, again, your body is different, and that's, I literally stay this size just because I don't eat meat, but I have cheated a few times. I had some chicken a couple of weeks ago, but I mean that's not my type.
No, I think that I think what you say you've talked about therapy, you talked about self-care, you talked about, so I want to use the right word, so it's a holistic approach
Yes,
to
it
your
is.
healing. I mean, it is a
Yes.
holistic approach. You talk about what you do every day. You talked about all of those things. And so I am happy to hear that, because sometimes people think there's like 2 steps and I'm good. But it is a holistic approach. And so I appreciate you sharing your journey. So there are 2 other things that I think I'm gonna do before we close.
Can I do the questions, or do you want to do the
Yeah, no, go
activity
ahead.
first?
No,
I got, I also go see a shaman, y'all. See
okay.
a shaman. So that's something new in my life, and that has definitely helped me, because it gets down into another, it's too scientific or too biological for me to explain it. But that has definitely helped me on my healing journey as well. His
Okay,
name is
great.
Jason Phelps. Plug it in.
Shameless plug. Let's
Virginia.
hilarious. Let's do the question.
So Michelle has 3 good questions. This one I think is going to be for you, Andrea. What is needed to make counseling support for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people and people of color less stigmatized and accessible?
I think we do a massive public education campaign, right? And we talk about the critical need that is there. Our silence does not protect us, period. It doesn't. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we heighten awareness about how people get healed and how communities get healed because of that. I think that, and it becomes the priority. We make it the priority. I had a great conversation today with someone about, we talked about the schools, and we talked about, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had, and not necessarily clinicians to diagnose in school, but so that I could just do a wellness check-in. I just want to do a wellness check-in. Those kinds of things. When we make it a priority, mental health and wellness for about our Black children and our Black selves, oh my God, that changes the game.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Great answer.
I have a question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. This one-
For you, Susan, what recommendations would you offer to organizations that would like you to share your challenges, as it can be re-traumatizing for you? What is supportive for you even after you leave this Zoom? So how can organizations engage to hear your story, but also what are you going to do afterwards? Because like you said, you were remembering things. What things are you going to put in place to help you kind of be more resilient through this process?
Well, what I do, again, it's always, you have to, it's like cognitive behavioral therapy, pay attention to your thoughts. Not to say that every day I'm 100%. When I feel myself dipping, then I have to consciously take myself away from those thoughts and put it to something more positive and powerful. And in that instant, your thoughts will change your whole emotions. So it's a constant. It's not, I mean, you have to train yourself. It's a habit. It becomes a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle I'm addicted to now, not the other lifestyle. So it's just all about just maintaining that conscious thought and staying positive in the whole process.
Roxanne, I know that wasn't my question, and you did a great job. So I'm certainly not adding one, but as you said that, none of us can give from an empty cup. So we
Right.
got to constantly continue to fill ourselves. And so again, I know that was Susan's question, and I'm not that person who's like, oh, I got to add something. But I just, as I was listening to you, you said, I put that aside, but none of us can give from an empty cup. So we constantly, it is constant filling of oneself,
Yes.
whether that's through therapy, or it is the constant. So thank you for letting me.
Susan, you had shared with us the other day that you purposed to do your affirmations. You purposed to go, you said you went on this 2-hour trek when you had called me. So I think that's part of your resiliency as well, is making sure that no matter what, you're putting towards the things that make you feel good and replenish you.
Yeah, I mean, again, affirmations that are in my phone that I wake up to, the music 528 hertz and higher, binaural beats, and positive thoughts, and really positive people.
Yeah.
Positive people.
Making sure that you're staying
You
with.
cannot be around negative people, those vampire, whatever they're called. That's very important. Your circle, your space, your connections, your relationships, your business associates have to be just as positive as you are.
Thank you for asking that. I mean, thank you for raising that. Did you want to make a comment? Because we got a good amen corner over here.
I just wanted to say that, my name is Tony, and I have 4 sons, adult sons, and one of my sons, he texts us every morning just about, and he always needs to have something positive added on, and he feels like basically he can only get it from certain people. And he knows he can always get something from me, something to say that would change his mindset for that day. And I'm always telling him that he has to have people around him that are going to add to him.
That's true.
Not take all the time.
Yes.
That you need to have people who are adding to you, you know, or you'll just drain you
Absolutely.
if you're always around negative stuff. And so
That's
sometimes you have to say goodbye.
Absolutely.
Hang up the phone.
And cut the cords.
So
Very
beautiful.
true.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And you know, we didn't address the last part. Is it okay that we put, I guess, also the first part of the question about engaging to hear about your story? I was going to put your contact information.
Oh, sure.
And Susan, unless I've missed, aren't you, I think you're gonna be doing a podcast and some other things. I know that one of the things that you're doing with Black Mental Health Alliance is what we're gonna call caviar conversations. Wait for it, I know, right? You're not ready.
Caviar
and so,
combos.
yeah, caviar
Ooh la
combos.
la.
And so we'll talk about that. That's some of the things that will be coming at the beginning of the year, but I know that you're on this quest that you're gonna be doing podcasts and some other things.
That's my plan. I didn't want you to put it out there yet, honey, but I guess I'm gonna have to do it. But that is the plan. It's a serious subject.
I just want you to know, I did not tell you the secret.
So I don't have your comments.
My bad.
Right there.
So listen, it is in the ether. You cannot.
That's
have
right.
it. So it's
Yes.
in the ether. It
Yes.
will manifest itself, and so we're excited about that. Roxana, anybody else have any questions about Susan's journey, about this moment that we find ourselves as a community of Black and Brown and Indigenous people, and our mental health? I just want to make sure.
We kind of already went over this one, but what recommendations can be offered to sustain mental wellness and post-traumatic healing? Some people may wait when they have the crisis or triggers. And so I guess the question is like, how can you continually work on your mental wellness, which you already
And I would
kinda
love
addressed.
for places wherever you're from, whether that's Baltimore, whether that's, I'd love for people to see the benefits of healing circles, because there is benefits to healing circles, healing centered engagement practices. It's important. You are not your trauma, but we've got to figure out how do we work in those places and in those spaces. One of the things that the Black Mental Health is doing is we have embraced this term, and it's called Sawubona, and it's a Swahili term. And our friends at the Association of Black Psychologists have taught us how to host these circles. And one of the things that Sawubona means, I see you. It's a Swahili greeting, but it doesn't just mean I see you. It means for us, we unpack that and we say, I see you and I honor your humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like? We could go for months. Just what does that look like? And how do I honor my own humanity?
I like that.
Yes, see, that's grand.
Mhm.
But the truth of the matter is, I think when we do some of those non-traditional things that you're not gonna find in a book, that our counterparts aren't gonna share, because Black and Brown people are communal. We are community, that's who we are, right? You got 7 aunties that aren't your aunties, but we're communal. And so for us, to be able to participate in healing circles, those kinds of, and even circles that involve music. What does that look like? Music has long been our North Star. So I'm glad you shared that music is important to you. I'm glad you talked about your healing journey. I don't want to forget, Roxana, I know is gonna put, sure, Roxana is going to put Susan's contact information in the chat. And we will make sure that you have that, because again, you will see her again. We've been on Instagram together. We're doing lots of other things. I don't want to miss any other questions here, any other comments here before we finish our closing activity.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I don't have
okay.
any. I had given our last. I thought you were asking me.
Okay. Anybody else? Troy, thank you. Okay, good. How about you? Okay, all right, good. As I put everybody on the spot. So, but I think these kinds of, this is for us, again, safe spaces, but I love for you, one of the things that the Black Mental Health Alliance has done and is, we are building a robust youth and young adult division so that young people will do much better at their plea for help, their cry for help when they want to have a conversation. And so one of the things at every exercise, we close out and we do a letter. And the letter is, it says, "Dear young Black man," right? And I'd like for you to really just sort of give a letter from your heart, dear young, especially to young Black, brown women are trapped in not just relationships that are exhausting and draining and toxic, but I'd love for you to give them an appeal. And I'd like, and you can take a minute to think about it, and you'd say, "Dear young Black mind," and dear young Black woman, dear young Black, your mind matters, and this is why. So again, take a minute to think about that. Yeah, I know many of you have been a part of that when we do our youth and young adult pieces, but love for you to do that, and then we will close out. We'll close out.
The answer is it's a very short answer, so you can't forget it. So dear young Black minds, young women, young men, love yourself. Believe in yourself. Never allow anyone to tell you who you are or who you're not. And live life grand every day. Simple as that.
Simple as that. So again, want to say thank you to you for your voice,
Thank you.
for lending your voice to us. And because you do, people get healed by healing that. I'm sorry.
Are you gonna make everyone do the?
I'd love for folk to close out, but they don't have to, but I'd like to.
They don't have to share it, but just write a letter to your dear young Black mind.
And because it will be affirming. If anybody wants to share, please do. But dear young Black mind, did you want to share? You don't have to.
Sure, I'll share mine.
Okay.
It's dear young Black mind, you can't change nobody. Love yourself. God did. And you
That's
can.
right.
God did.
You know, DJ Khaled, that's his thing. God.
God did. Yes,
I love it. Anybody else feel compelled to share?
Oh, I'm sharing mine.
Okay, share yours.
It's short.
It's our shop on entrepreneurship.
It's short though. Dear, so I said, dear young Black woman, seek therapy if you feel that you're in a tough space.
Oh, that's no.
very good.
Listen,
Yeah.
because we don't need a lot of words.
Yeah.
For a long time we hide behind that. And so thank you. No,
Yes.
that's right. I love the notion, the call to action for therapy.
Yes.
It's okay. It's
Yes.
not a dirty word.
Yeah.
You can go to Starbucks and therapy. I see you out there coming from my therapist school. Oh
It's
boy.
important.
That's right. So
Important.
thank you for that. Dear young Black mind, you are important. Your thoughts matter. You have a purpose. Your thoughts matter.
Your thoughts matter.
Your thoughts
Yep.
matter. And if I could say, based on one of the things that Susan has said, you know, we say, well, I don't know why I'm going through this. Some of that is the manifestation of what we put in the ether already. And so we get the opportunity for this blank canvas to shift. And so thank you for raising that.
All right, Dr. Tati said this angle looks better.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully I can get it to stay. I told my niece was over this weekend, and one of the things that I reiterated to her, and I told her, I was like, you better swear to me, you'll never forget how awesome you are. And even when people tell you other stuff, not to believe it. So that's what I would tell the young Black minds. Hi guys. That's what I would tell the young Black minds, that, you know, just always remember who you are, that you're so awesome.
Love that, love that, love that. Did you want to share? Is that enough? I love for you to, but don't feel compelled.
Oh, okay.
So, dear young Black men,
Dear young Black men.
All right
thank you.
now.
never give up on yourself. Learn to forgive yourself. Pick yourself up. And the L's in life, or the L's in life is and losses, they're lessons.
Beautiful. Wow. Yes. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much. Thank you so much for that. And I love that we say it out loud.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. I love it in my hearing, and I love the appeal to the brothers, the young Black men, right? And so thank you for that. Thank you for living life grand and for showing many what is possible. And again, taking it's not a bad word to seek therapy and to talk about our mental health. So I am excited about that. But before I close us out and tell you about the evaluation, I'm looking at Roxanne like, what else should I be doing?
Oh, so Michelle online has said, this is so healing. Appreciation for the interviewer guest, the owner of the salon who made this possible.
Yay.
Michelle, you need to come and visit us in person, because you've just been
Come on,
amazing.
Michelle.
Dear young Black mind, you can do this. Trust the process. That's Dr. Tati. Michelle also said, you all are phenomenal. Dr. Tati gave you a shout out. Great, Janelle, about what you had posted about the future self. Nicole said, dear young Black mind, always trust yourself.
Love it. I love it. I love.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
My favorite is intern who now works for Black Mental Health Alliance. She has a comment in here. Shania said, dear young Black mind, you are special and your light is bright.
Oh, that's
Of course she would say that. Like, she's just so amazing.
I love the lone brother in the room said about forgiving ourselves. And oftentimes we don't give ourselves enough grace, and we should. Forgive ourselves, and we get to start again, right? We get to start again. So thank you again for sharing that. Thank you for everybody that I put on the spot. But again, I think it's important, pain shared is pain lessened. And so again, thank you, Kaiser. Thank you, Black Mental Health Alliance. Thank you for those of you who joined us on Facebook, and for those who came into the shop. Thank you to our shop owner. Who
She has an event coming up.
Who wants to say something about an event coming up, and once she does, then I will close us out.
Okay, yes. This Saturday, October 22nd, we will be hosting, me and Troy and I will be hosting one of our events. It's gonna be here at 1052 West Baltimore Street. Come out and join us. We'll have our mobile health clinic available, screenings, health screenings.
See this.
We'll also have a produce truck out. So just come and join us. Please come and join us. We do this all the time, and we just want to reach out to everyone who needs to, get your blood pressure checked, flu shots. I don't know if we're doing the flu shots, but are we doing flu shots, Troy?
Oh, it says flu COVID shots.
Okay, yes, okay.
COVID.
Yes, flu, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's no cost, it's totally
So
free.
it starts at 10. Is it, what's the end? Okay, yeah, it's from 10 to 2. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I give you the right info. So please come out and join us on Saturday and
Dr. Tati also put it in the chat.
she put it in the chat. Okay, thanks, Dr. Tati. See you soon.
And we're also putting our survey, if you guys could, we had a lot of participants online and we appreciate you. So if you could please complete the survey, we would appreciate that. It helps us keep the programming going. And I think that is it. So we
So
will.
right after the close of this meeting, I think Roxanne mentioned it. The Survey Monkey will open and complete it to improve our programming. So we ask that please share your feedback. We are not sensitive. We want to be good. We are here to do this work for you and for our community. So just wanna, a couple of things. Black Women Do Brunch is coming up. Check out our website. Next, Mind Health Shop Talk is gonna be Tuesday, November 15th. I can't tell you everything that's coming up. I did an oops, my bad, but follow us, follow Susan, follow her work, follow her work, follow her story. And so, again, we thank you. Did I miss anything? No. Oh, we appreciate you.
Someone also said, Susan, they're waiting for your book to come out.
I know everybody's been waiting for, I gotta sit my ass still, y'all. But I wanna say tremendous thanks to Black Mental Health Alliance for inviting me, flying me out, and giving me the courage, because each time that someone asks me to speak, I gain more courage and confidence to share more and more. There's more than what I told y'all today. Trust and believe, we're gonna do a movie, something's gonna come up. So stay tuned and thanks
I will
again.
watch
And
that.
please make sure you all love yourselves, believe in yourselves, and live life grand every day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.